Hello and welcome everyone to an all-new episode of Super Suits, the YouTube comic book show where we take closer looks at the most famous lawsuits in the long and storied history of superheroes and comics. And on today's show, get ready to aim for the head and not get bitten because we have zombies on the docket. Chances are I don't need to tell any of you out there listening right now that The Walking Dead is a full-on phenomenon. What began life as a small black and white indie comic book from Image has quickly exploded into one of the most successful franchises in modern memory. The Walking Dead managed to almost single-handedly usher in a new era of zombie mania, the likes of which haven't been seen since the heyday of George Romero. But you know what? You don't get to the top of the multimedia heap with 2 successful shows, truckloads of merch, good video games, bad video games, and an entire post-show hosted by Chris Hardwick under your belt without getting involved in a super suit or two. And that, my members of the internet court, is what we're going to be covering today. But to truly understand and appreciate this supersuit, however, we're going to need to take a look back all the way to the very inception of The Walking Dead and first tell the tale of 2 friends, writer Robert Kirkman and artist Tony Moore. These 2 guys had been best buds since the 7th grade and had collaborated on such comic works as Battle Pope and Brit. But these 2 unassuming gentlemen wouldn't fully take the world by storm until October 8th, 2003, when the first issue of The Walking Dead would hit comic stands. Fun little aside, did you know that Kirkman had to lie about his long-term plans for The Walking Dead? It's true, originally Image had no interest in a zombie book, so Kirkman made up a revelation about aliens being involved by the end of the first arc. Of course, by the time that all came around, the book was already a smash hit with readers and critics, so no one seemed to care. Keep this story in the back of your mind as we move forward, because it might just become important. Now, that's the writer, but what of the artist? Tony Moore would cease regular interior artist duties on The Walking Dead with issue 6. He continued to contribute to the title as cover artist through issue 24 and illustrated the covers for the series' first 4 collected volumes. For his work, Moore was nominated for at least 2 Eisner Awards, Best New Series in 2004 and Best Cover Artist in 2005. Yep, it seemed like Kirkman and Moore had the perfect working relationship, but it's right around here things between the 2 men began to sour. You see, in February 2012, Moore filed a lawsuit alleging that in 2005, writer Robert Kirkman deceitfully engineered him into surrendering his rights to the Walking Dead comic book and eventual TV series in exchange for money that he was never paid. Now, in the supposed deal that the 2 men had worked out beforehand, in return for signing over his rights to Kirkman, Moore was apparently told that he would receive 60% of the net proceeds from the comic books for both Walking Dead and Brit, as well as 20% of the net proceeds from any future movie or television adaptation of The Walking Dead and Brit, plus 50% of any net proceeds from any potential movie or television adaptation of Battle Pope. Litigation got very ugly very fast, with Kirkman saying he overpaid Moore for the work he did on the first 6 issues before countersuing him for breaching contract by outing the details of their original deal. This suit would hit a metaphorical brick wall when Image Comics objected to a subpoena for information on its relationship with Kirkman, saying Moore and his attorneys had no right to that information on their business partner as it, quote, had no relevance to the Walking Dead work that Moore actually had performed, end quote. Now, you might be thinking this would have ended all this ugliness right then and there, but you would be wrong. The Moore camp filed another lawsuit that August, this time not only looking for money, but also looking for co-ownership of The Walking Dead for Moore himself. Once again, things got about as ugly as a walker rotting in the sun. Moore would say in his suit, quote, Kirkman is a proud liar and fraudster who freely admits that he has no qualms about misrepresenting material facts in order to consummate business transactions, end quote. Now, for obvious business reasons, it was in the Kirkman camp's best interest for Moore to never get recognized as co-owner of The Walking Dead, if only because of a particular quirk in the American copyright system, and that is that each co-owner has independent right to exploit the work, either in direct use or licensing it out to third parties, provided that they provide any accounting and any royalties due for any and all profits from the license or use. Basically saying, had Moore got what he wanted, he could have possibly taken The Walking Dead show to another network. In the end, however, this case, despite all the sound and fury, would ultimately be settled out of court. In September 2012, both Kirkman and Moore reached an amicable agreement in their respective lawsuits. Of course, the particulars of the deal are known only to those involved and no one else. This case being just yet another in a very long saga as old as comic books themselves, and that is who truly owns a comic work, the artist or the writer. Personally, I've always thought of writer and artist as like parents to their creative works. But some parents are more active in the lives of their child than others, and some parents can often be abusive or even absentee. But now I'm getting off topic, and kinda depressing too. So yeah, that's the story of the battle for The Walking Dead. Tony Moore would of course continue to do art for comics. Kirkman is riding high right now, and a new season of The Walking Dead TV show will be upon us very soon. So that will just about do it for me and another episode of Super Suits. I hope you all learned a little something, and before you go, why not enjoy the only true cure for the zombie plague, hitting that big red shiny subscribe button. Or while you're at it, why not watch the newest episode from Scott in NerdSync, or check out something I'm doing over on my channel.